Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to continue our conversation regarding adding emotions to your photos. If you missed the last video, please check it out. The link is in the description. So without any hesitations, let's get to it. Now, emotions are as much an essential element of photographs as composition. One of the most potent yet complex elements to master in photography, which I find very difficult, is capturing emotions and feelings. This is something I had to work on. So how do we embed them into our images? Photos can elicit powerful feelings like any other form of art. For example, some pictures may drive you into tears. Some may cause you to laugh out loud. And some may make you boil over with anger. Great photographs can evoke positive and negative emotions, and those that do are more powerful than those that lack any feelings or emotional response, in my opinion. A really great image conveys a mood and pulls the viewer into the scene. If a photo tells a story and tugs at the heartstrings, it's successful, again, in my opinion. But how do we achieve that? Let's get into 3 powerful tips on how to bake emotions into your photographs and learn how to go from being good to being a great photographer. Tip number 1, give minimum direction and do not intervene as a photographer. You must recognize that the viewer differs from the photographer. And as a photographer, the roles are different. As a photographer, I can dictate what my viewers will feel. I typically give minimum to no directions to my subjects. And if I need to provide any recommendations, I offer only minimum suggestions. Intervening in the moment may prevent me from capturing an emotional response from my subject because my subjects will be too focused on holding a pose that may or may not come natural to them. Instead, I guide them minimally on where to place their hands, how to tilt their heads, and more. If you really must provide some direction, such as you want to utilize more of the available light or the environment, then you want to learn to pose your subjects in a way that won't make them feel self-conscious or uncomfortable. So if you want to utilize more of the available light, if you want to incorporate more of the environment, you want to incorporate different things or poses that won't make your subject feel like they're out of place. It's important to remember that you should only provide subtle guidance in the beginning. And once your subjects feel more comfortable in front of the camera, allow them to interact freely with you, with others, if there's others in the portrait, or the environment. And do not interfere. Move further away so that you can feel more at ease, so your subjects can feel more at ease. I typically like to shoot with a 770 to 200 to give me that longer focal length. The goal is to make your subjects forget that the camera is even there. So instead, strive to make yourself as invisible and unobtrusive as possible. Primarily, the main thing that separates a professional photographer from the rest of the pack is the ability to create images that emotionally affect their audience. For example, your average photographer can make a beautiful image of the Eiffel Tower. The professional photographer, however, gets you to feel the soul of Paris. A good photographer can get a lovely portrait at golden hour, and we all love that beautiful warm light at golden hour. But the professional photographer makes you long to be in that location. The average or ordinary photographer shows you photos of their road trip through the mountains, but the professional photographer makes you feel what it's like to be there in that place at that time. Giving minimum direction and not intervening with the moment is not a complicated skill set, but it is a valuable skill set that will push you from taking a simple image into deeper territories and establish your voice as a photographer. Tip number 2, learn to anticipate important moments. Another thing you must be mindful of when attempting to capture authentic emotions in your photos is to be on the lookout for possible instances wherein you'll be able to catch your subjects when they're most unguarded. These moments can happen when you least expect them, but if you remain alert and observant, you should be able to capture them. People naturally convey different moods and emotions through facial expressions, body language, and even hairstyles and clothing, even in their shoes. All of these things contribute to the story that you're attempting to tell and capture visually. Photographing people doing something they love or going about their daily lives is often the best way to convey their personality to the viewer. So try this. Try taking candid shots of people where the person isn't aware that you're taking their picture. Photographing people discreetly as they go about their everyday lives can result in some pretty fantastic images that convey a wide range of different emotions. However, to ensure your camera is ready to snap at any moment and anticipate these moments, you won't have time to do this one thing, and that's to fiddle around with your camera. Therefore, when you have downtime, you want to practice getting to know your camera. You want to know your camera settings, and you take the time to customize your camera settings so that you can change your most used camera setting more quickly without losing focus or without looking down. It's like a basketball player, a point guard. They do not have to look at their hands to control the ball. Also, just like you increases your chances of nailing a variety of emotional candid shots if you are able to know exactly where your settings are, just like that basketball player. He can defend himself even on offense. He can get around players. He can run plays and move up and down the court freely because he doesn't have to take his focus off the court and look down at his hands while he's trying to dribble the ball. So this is the same advice that I'm giving to you. You want to be able to continuously shoot even after you've captured what I call your money shot. But this is the reason why. You want your settings in place. You want to continuously be able to shoot because it's here in that split second, right after the height of one's emotions, that you can actually capture some really great pictures. This is an excellent time. And it's usually during this time when your subject's face and body become more relaxed and natural. So shooting continuously will allow you to capture all sorts of moments, from the intimate to the funny to those other candid yet meaningful shots that otherwise you won't be able to capture because you won't be ready to take them, because you're trying to figure out how to use your camera. You're trying to figure out where to place your hands, where to focus. You're not ready. So in order to stay in that continuously shooting mode, have your camera ready. Also, instead, use your camera continuous mode and shoot a particular moment in bursts. So this is also another great thing to ensure, or great technique to ensure you capture plenty of shots to choose from. Remember, it's a numbers game. This gives you a higher chance of getting the right photo at precisely the right time. The truth is, a photographer doesn't know which image will yield the most emotions in a photograph. They don't know the perfect shot because we don't have time to keep looking at it, but it is a numbers game. And if you shoot a subject long enough from enough different angles, some would tell a story, some would capture the feelings that you're looking for, and maybe a few would capture the exact emotions you're looking for. But to get those few shots, you have to shoot the whole shot, the whole series, the whole thing. And that's considered what I just said, a series. Which brings me to my final and my most important tip. Tip number 3, establish an assignment mindset. Most photographs stand the test of time that are associated with an assignment. So what do I mean? The reason is context is already established in the request for a photographer. So if someone asks me to come out and document their grandmother turning 100 years old, I don't have to think about that because the context is going to be in every shot that I take to document that moment. However, with an assignment, a photographer is not trying to add context. I'm not trying to add context to the scene that doesn't have much of one. It's already there because I know what I'm stepping into. I'm coming in with that mindset. So the photographer needs to go out and capture scenes within. Now, I want to talk about a legendary photographer named Gordon Parks. And Gordon Parks shot during the 40s and through the 70s. Gordon Parks used his camera as a weapon against poverty and racism. Parks used photography in a bold new way that celebrated the realities of everyday life, confronting racism by documenting his subjects' inner lives. It's far harder to try to find the context of something you happen to be in front of, and even more challenging when the thing you're shooting is beautiful. When Gordon Parks would go out to document these moments, he knew visually that whatever he captured, the context of that was already there. So keep this in mind because there are a lot of challenges in doing this when you don't have this mindset. Even when you're going out, when beauty is at stake, because it's even more challenging to capture something different that's already beautiful. You lose a sense of context altogether because the beauty is already there. You want to go in thinking with an assignment already in mind. But for those who want to do something more with their images and create emotions, you must have the assignment that takes your viewer past obvious beauty and into the dark forests of humanity, such as what Gordon Parks was able to accomplish in his work. This means letting go of your spiral staircases, urban landscapes, your supermodels, and sunsets, and establishing an assignment. But you're probably saying, I don't have an assignment, in my head. What are you talking about? Think about it. If you're traveling, consider yourself on assignment when you go out. In this mindset, you will be more likely to research the location before you get there, its history, its current political environment, unique characteristics, etc. And this can lead to shots that aren't the ones everyone takes when they go to that location. The images that really have withstood the test of time were those that where I could venture into lesser known territory and capture untouched humanity and empathy in my subjects. In every photograph Gordon Parks took, there is a direct expression of emotion. The best images are when the subjects are more vulnerable. This is when the photography and the poetry come together. So a lot of times before I go to locations, I try to find out what's going on. Like, is a festival going on? Like, what is unique to this community? So in conclusion, just remember, conveying mood and emotions in your photos can take a bit of practice. There's a lot to consider, but trying out a few of these techniques I mentioned today will help develop your photography skills. And when taking photos, try to be more aware of the elements that will evoke emotions in the viewer and help tell the story you're trying to convey. Now, if you have some additional tips, please feel free to leave a comment, or how you plan to use some of the tips mentioned today in order to help you become a better observer in taking photos that evoke emotions. I would love to hear from you and what you have to say and share. And again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a fantastic week. And don't forget to add a little soul to those images. Until next time, take care.